Do you struggle with getting stuck in thoughts about things that happened in the past? Something you went through, something you did, something that was done to you that was difficult, painful, distressing, disappointing, hurtful in some way. And you get stuck in those thoughts and have a hard time getting out of them. And when you get stuck in them, they bring up all kinds of difficult, painful, uncomfortable emotions, to the point that sometimes when you do get stuck in them, when those feelings come up, they kind of stick with you the entire day, and it can even ruin your entire day. It can throw you off for the entire day, and you don't want to keep feeling stuck in the past. You want to be able to release this pain from the past. And if that is true for you, then you're in the right place. This is what we are going to talk about today. I'm going to give you some tools and some strategies to be able to release the past so that you can live more fully and freely in the present, because this is really all we have. If you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second and introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you're back again, it's always good to have you. Say hello. If you haven't already, subscribe. The button on, I think, like a laptop or a desktop. Do people still have desktop computers? Just as an aside there, let me know if you still have a desktop computer. I'd love to hear about that. I haven't seen one in a long time. Anyways, I digress. If you're on a computer, the subscribe button should be about right down there. It's somewhere there if you're on a tablet or a smartphone. But either way, my name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, the creator of the Shift Society that you need to get more information about. It's my membership community. It is a life-shifting place where we are taking some of the concepts you are learning here and going deeper on them, and then you are learning all new concepts and step-by-step processes to get in charge of your mind and emotions so you can handle whatever or whoever is happening in your life. I help heart-centered humans get through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And being able to move through pain from the past. Now, just as an aside, I'm not talking here about if you've been through more severe trauma, like abuse, abandonment, neglect, something like that. That's not what we're discussing. We're talking more about when you kind of get stuck in things that you went through. Maybe it was a breakup that you went through. Maybe it was a disappointment that you had from your past. Maybe it was a friendship that disintegrated. Maybe it was a job that you didn't get, that you had worked really hard to get, and then you didn't end up getting it, or a promotion or something like that. And your brain is going around and around, kind of replaying it, and it's bringing up all kinds of discomfort, all kinds of distress. Now, also, if you are struggling with releasing pain from your past that is more related to trauma, like I said, this video, this talk today is not specifically for that, but you will still get some help for that through the skills and the tools I'm going to teach you today. But if it is something more severe, again, that will often require more specific intervention, working with a therapist and a doctor if necessary. But yeah, so just a little side note there. So when it comes to talking about pain from our past, often there's an element of grief. There's a part of loss, right? When something has happened in our past that was difficult or painful, there is something that was lost. There is an innocence that was lost. There was a connection that was lost. There was a hope that was lost. There was a dream that was lost. There was a potential that was lost. And so knowing that grief can be showing up, disappointment can be showing up, regret can be showing up, resentment can be showing up, sadness, hurt, frustration, anger, any of the above, all of the above can be showing up now when we think about something that happened in the past. Now, I want to highlight that statement that I just made. When we think about something that happened in the past, that is what is creating the discomfort or the pain or the emotions, whatever they are that we don't love sitting in and getting stuck in, that is what is creating them now. It's our thoughts about the past. And so that might be obvious. You're like, Julia, obviously it's my thoughts going around and around that's creating all this distress. And you're like, yeah, that's obvious, but not many of us realize that there's something we can do about those thoughts that doesn't involve just like, thinking positive and being grateful and just telling yourself to stop thinking that way. Those strategies that we often think we should be able to use, but don't very rarely tend to cut it when we are in the moment. Not to say that some positive thinking and some gratitude aren't helpful strategies sometimes and in certain circumstances, but it's not all the time and it's not for everything. Often we need something more than that to be able to really deal with what is coming up for us now. So I said, it's your thoughts that is creating the emotional experience that you don't like, that you don't want to be having so much now. Now, it's not just your thoughts. It's not just the thought about what happened that is creating the distress. Often there is meta thoughts. So thoughts about our thoughts about us thinking about the past. And I call this cloudy pain. And there's a difference between cloudy pain and clear pain. So cloudy pain involves several different elements. One of them is, like I just talked about, having thoughts about our thoughts, being able to say, like, why can't I just get over this? Why is this still bothering me? What's wrong with me? This is so stupid. I'm so weak. I'm so pathetic, right? So I'm feeling upset about this thing, but then I start judging my thoughts and I create all of these clouds sort of overshadowing my simple sort of emotional experience in that moment. So these meta thoughts are more often than not, a big part of what we get stuck in. Another part of cloudy pain is when we think about how we should have done something different in the past. And I've talked about this before, even about like when it does come to trauma. There's research that shows that 75% of people are able to move through trauma and 25% of people get stuck in their trauma, and it basically kind of takes over and in some ways ruins their entire lives. They never actually get past it. And one of the things that they show that this 25% of people that get stuck in it are the people who get stuck in sort of wishing that they had done something different or thinking that they had done something different and kind of getting stuck in that. Let me give you some examples here. So those thoughts about like, if I had done this, or if I had only known this, or if they had only done this, if they had only known this, if things could have been more like this, or if they could have been more like this, or if I could have been more like this, or if I hadn't done that, or if I had been more like this, then they wouldn't have. Right? So we start like speculating about kind of these what ifs. What if it had been more like this? I had been more like this. I should have, I wish that I would have. Why didn't I? Right? We go round and around in our head, trying to almost like change the past by thinking that things should have been a different way. Now, regardless of whether or not they should or shouldn't, or you should or shouldn't have been a different way, getting stuck in those thoughts isn't doing anything other than making you feel terrible. And it's clouding up the pain by bringing in all of these ideas and judgments about what happened, and in a way like thinking that you should go back and change it, which you can't. And because you can't, you're making yourself feel even more terrible now. Do you see how that works? You're expecting yourself to do something that's impossible and then getting upset with yourself because you can't do something that was impossible, that is impossible, like going back and making things different than they were. Cloudy pain. Another way we cloud up our pain is when we deduce meaning, usually that's filled with shame, about what this thing means about us, right? So this thing that happened, this rejection, this disappointment, this action, whatever that was, this is what it means, right? And it's like, again, usually laced with shame. I'm unlovable. I'm not good enough. I wasn't worthy enough. I didn't deserve it. If only if I was more, again, if only I was more like this wouldn't have happened. It's because there's something wrong with me. I was so stupid to get involved with something like that. I was so dumb for making that decision, right? And we shame ourselves about it. Again, thinking that if we can punish that past version of ourselves, or at least punish ourselves now for that past version, or for those decisions that we made, or how we are existing at that time, or whatever it is that was happening, if we can shame and punish ourselves for it now, that somehow it's going to make things better. Somehow we're going to make ourselves feel better by telling ourselves how horrible we are. Again, that is cloudy pain when we bring in judgment to our experience. Now let's talk about clean pain. And what clean pain looks like is when we just clean up our thoughts around it. That's all that it means, is that we're just cleaning up our thoughts and moving to a place of acknowledgement and acceptance. And even just acknowledging how we're feeling now, right? Being able to like clean up your pain and be able to say like, I'm feeling sad that things weren't different. I'm feeling upset that I had to go through this, right? We're just acknowledging this. I'm feeling disappointed that I made that decision, or that they made that decision, or that things didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. And I'm feeling sad about that. I'm feeling disappointed about that. And that's just that. It happened, and this is how I am feeling about it, without judging it, without judging myself for it, while just acknowledging this was the event. This is how I'm feeling about it. And even that, in and of itself, surprisingly enough, will help you let go of that pain. If you don't believe me, try it. Because so often, like I said, what gets us stuck in the pain is the I shouldn't have, they shouldn't have, if only, what if, I shouldn't be, like this should have gone this way, or it shouldn't have gone that way, or whatever that is, right? We get caught up in all of these judgments. And I'm going to guess that you have not, when you've been thinking about stuff from the past, when stuff from the past has been coming up and you have been having feelings that come up because of that you have not kept that pain clean. You have not kept it clean and classy. You've been clouding it up with a bunch of junk. And that is, in a large part, what is keeping you stuck in it. So I want you to practice just acknowledging the pain or the experience that you're having in the moment. I am feeling sad, disappointed, hurt, upset because I'm thinking about this thing that I experienced, that I did, that I went through, that happened. Case in point, I am just having feelings based on some thoughts about an experience. That in and of itself will change a lot of it. So after you've done that, the next thing to do is to stop letting your past define you and start letting your past develop you. Because like we talked about, we have these experiences, we have done these things, or we've had these things done to us, and then our brain creates a shame story about what that means about us now. I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not competent enough, I'm not capable enough, I'm broken, I'm flawed, I'm damaged, I'm weird, whatever that is. Your brain has created a shame story about what this experience means about you now. However, that is just a thought, not a fact. It's just a thought that because I experienced this, I went through this, I did this, I had this done to me, that this is what it means about me now. But it doesn't. That's just a thought. That's just a label that your brain has slapped on it and said, this is what it means now. And then when we allow that to happen, we allow those shame stories to be there and to stick there, then that defines who we are. And then we start to think things like, I can't have this, I can't do this, I can't be this, right? I can't achieve this, I can't accomplish this, I can't create this, I can't experience this because I am broken, flawed, weird, unlovable, not good enough, a bad person, defective, damaged in some way, whatever that is. Right? And all of that is just made up. It's just your brain creating this story and then making that story mean what you can or can't do. And it's just like, without even questioning it, we're just like, case closed. That's just the way that it is. And we let our past define us. But I am going to encourage you to instead let your past develop you. Looking back on the past and seeing what you want to take from it, what you want to learn from it, how you want to grow from it, how you want to choose to define yourself from it. What did you learn from that? What did you get from that? What did that teach you about what you can get through? What did that teach you about yourself that has helped you on your journey? What do you want to do with that now? You failed a bunch? Great. That means you're resilient. You've had some relationships that didn't work out? Great. Now you can look back and see what didn't work and what you want to learn from that and do differently next time. You had a really big disappointment. You didn't get a job that you were going for, that you worked really hard towards. Great. Maybe it's time to look at what you could do differently next time. Maybe it's time for a career change. Maybe it's time for a whole other field that you want to start exploring and go for a dream instead of staying in that same path that you've always been in. So looking for how our past and the pain from our past can not define us in a stuck, limiting way, but how it can develop us. And now I'm not going to tell you in kind of those trite, sort of like surfacey, platitude kind of ways that, everything happens for a reason. I don't personally believe that, but I do believe that we can create meaning from whatever it is that we've been through. And we can create the meaning that we want to create that is going to help develop us, that's going to help us learn and grow and expand and experience more in life. You can choose what to think about the past and what that means about you now. That's the bad news. The good news is you can choose how you think about the past and what you are going to make that mean about you now and what you want to do with that now. It becomes easier and easier to move through and release the past when you both engage in that clear and clean pain around it. You just allow yourself to have whatever thoughts and feelings without judgment and just allow yourself to process the emotion when the thoughts come up and then move through that versus getting stuck with that cloudy pain that kind of clouds things up and kind of makes things all unclear and all messy and you get stuck in that fog. It becomes easier to move through it when you engage in both clean pain and you decide what you want that pain, that sort of experience from the past that was difficult, what you want to do with that now, how you want to use that to develop you. This is the deep work we do in the Shift Society, where we get to know what's really going on, where we're getting stuck, and I teach you a 5-step process to understand what's really going on and to help you learn how to use your brain for you instead of passively letting your brain work against you, which is what so many of our human brains do. So I teach you a 5-step process to get in charge of your mind and emotions, no matter whoever or whatever is happening around you. We take this work to a deeper level and you are supported and doing it in community the whole way through. So come and join us in the club, in the Shift Society. More information in the description below. And if, learning how to not get so caught up in your thoughts and learning how to create that clean and clear pain by not lacing all kinds of judgment around things is something you want to learn how to do practically, then grab my 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. That is the first step that you're going to need in order to do that. That exercise is a free audio exercise, and that is going to teach you how to not get so caught up in whatever your brain is kind of throwing your way that's making you feel terrible. Good to have you here. And until next time, take good care.